So it's very nice that we have got Birdie with us. I think the mark is not coming on yet.
No, he's supposed to be coming online shortly,
Oh, I see.
and so is Moonbeam and some other lady is supposed to be coming. So maybe they're a bit late.
Hmm. So
They
he
said they
was
would come.
question, how to. The background noise is there. Maybe we should mute. So how to become, successful in Krishna consciousness? So I was explaining that the best way is to always depend on the Lord. No, you want to read this, buddy?
Yes. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have.
You want to read the purport?
One who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day, being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization, so that his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. Sema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga, and when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable conditioned life. Surrender unto me.
So you see, this is the process. The moment you understand and acknowledge the supremacy of Krishna, then Krishna is obligated to take care of you.
Yeah. So Krishna first, life second.
Yes, because Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Apologies for being late.
No, you're not late. We just started. So you can see how this is the missing point in everybody's life. Nobody is actually engaging or rather accepting the position of God.
Yes.
Because we are forgetting God. The moment we come to this material world, we forget God completely.
Yes.
Because we misuse our minute independence. So the moment we misuse our independence, then we do not know. See here.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just trying to put it on the computer, but it's all right.
You want to read Sankarshan?
Me?
Sankarshan.
Me? Oh,
You
Shankar.
want to read? You want to read? Yeah, please read.
You're muted, brother.
Sorry about that. The living entity by nature has minute independence to choose his own good or bad fortune. But when he forgets his supreme master, the supreme personality of Godhead, he gives himself up unto the modes of material nature. Being influenced by the modes of material nature, he identifies himself with the body, and for the interest of the body, becomes attached to various activities. Sometimes he is under the influence in the mode of ignorance, sometimes the mode of passion, and sometimes the mode of goodness. The living entity thus gets different types of bodies under the modes of material nature.
So you see, this is how it happens, you know. He gets different kinds of bodies according to the association of material nature. Can you read on?
These different types of bodies are explained in the Bhagavad Gita 13:22. Purusha Prakriti Sito Hi Bhante Prakriti Jantunan Karanam Guna Sangosya Sada Sadyoni Janmasu. The living entity in material nature follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species. Because of associating with the modes of nature, living entity gets a variety of bodies from the 8,400,000 forms. It is clearly explained herein that the living entity has a little independence, indicated by the word Swadrik, meaning one who can see his own welfare. The living entity's constitutional position is very minute, and he can be misled in his choice. He may choose to imitate the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a servant may desire to start his own business and imitate his master. And when he chooses to do so, he may leave the protection of his master. Sometimes he is failure, and sometimes he is successful. Similarly, the living entity, part and parcel of Krishna, starts his own business to compete with the Lord. There are many competitors out to attain the Lord's position, but to become like the Lord is not at all possible. Thus there is a great struggle for existence with the material world as different parties try to imitate the Lord. Material bondage is caused by deviation from the service of the Lord and attempts to imitate him. The Lord is imitated by Mayavad philosophers who try to become one with the Lord in an artificial way. When the Mayavadi philosophers think of themselves as liberated, they are under the delusion of mental concoction. No one can become one with or equal to God. To imagine this is to continue one's bondage in material existence.
So you can see here how our material misery starts the moment we misuse our minute independence. And that's why we are here in this material world. And
So
because
you go.
because we have been here for so long, we cannot figure this out, you know. We cannot figure out why we have all these problems, you know. And that's how the material nature is such. This illusion is so strong, you know. Very, very powerful. That we cannot figure it out. How, why? This is so powerful, the Lord's illusory energy. It's like a clever magician, you know. He does not expose the tricks.
The actual liberation, is that after our disappearance?
Actual liberation? No. Liberation doesn't count on leaving the body. Can you read on?
Do you want me to read?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Although shadows, echoes, and mirages are only illusory reflections of real things, such reflections do cause a semblance of meaningful or comprehensible perception. In the same way, although the identification of the conditioned soul with the material body, mind, and ego is illusory, the identification generates fear within him even up to the moment of death.
So liberation doesn't mean that because you leave the body, you know. Liberation actually means that you understand you are a spiritual person. You understand that you're not this body. And you understand that you're a servant of God. That is liberation. That means you come to your actual position. You know?
Mhm.
So many people think that unless you leave the body, you can be liberated. Eh? This is not a fact, you know. You have to first understand that we are now entangled in this body, you know. And that illusion is so strong, you see, even up to the point of death, you cannot think, you know. You understand this point? This is explained here in this verse. So in this verse it says, you want to read that?
The merging of the living entity along with his conditional living tendency with the mystic lying down of the Mahavishnu is called the winding up of the cosmic manifestation. Liberation is the permanent situation of the form of the living entity after he gives up the changeable, gross, and subtle material bodies.
So liberation means that I understand that now I understand that I'm a spirit soul, servant of God, Krishna. Then yes, I'm liberated from this bodily consciousness. Then my spiritual life starts, you know.
Yeah.
As long as
Nice
I'm
verse.
thinking that I'm so and so, I'm Indian, I'm Chinese, I'm Australian, etc., then I'm not liberated. I'm in the bodily concept. We say in Sanskrit, I'm a Jiva Bhuta, identifying with the body. And that way we are illusion and we go. You see, the first thing that happens when we are in that consciousness that we get into fear, you know.
Mm.
We're always in fear. Fear is a symptom of one who is in the bodily concept, you know.
Yeah.
You understand? So you see, like now you said you're fearful, how you going to manage? I've got to bring in the money, I got to get this going, you know.
Mm.
It's how the mind gets conditioned. See? So the moment you don't surrender to the Lord, you get into fear, you know. Let me show
Yeah.
you one verse. Bhayam means fear in Sanskrit, you know. The moment I turn away from Krishna, then fear engulfs me, you know. See the word bhayam. Bhayam means fear, you know.
Yeah.
Fear. You want to read this, please?
Fear arises when a living entity misidentifies himself as the material body because of absorption in the external illusory energy of the Lord. When the living entity thus turns away from the Supreme Lord, he also forgets his own constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. Thus, bewildering, fearful condition is affected by the potency for illusion called Maya. Therefore, an intelligent person should engage unflinchingly in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, whom he should accept as his worshipable deity and his very life and soul.
So because of his minute misuse of his minute independence, he gets into this material world, he gets into a material body, and in that body he misidentify himself, he thinks he's the body, and immediately he gets fearful of everything. You understand this point?
Yes.
So now we have to come out of that. That only way, it says here, the intelligent person should engage. You know, this is the only way to come out of it, is to go get this knowledge from the spiritual master, who will then guide us to come back to the original position as servant of Krishna. And if we don't want to do that, then we cannot come out of this illusory, fearful situation.
Who is the closest spiritual master?
Spiritual master means, like now we are teaching you, we are
Yeah.
trying to bring you to our spiritual master, Prabhupada. Anyone who gives you knowledge is spiritual master, is called Shiksha Guru. Instructing spiritual master, then you will get initiated to initiating spiritual master. That for us it's Srila Prabhupada. So, but the main thing is the knowledge. Without knowledge, you cannot go to God. It's not possible. You understand? Just like if you want to do anything, you have to go to school to enroll for knowledge, is it not?
Yes.
Similarly, spiritually, you require a teacher to teach you. That's why it says, under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Yes,
Yes.
the last
Okay.
session and now this session, you are learning something, is it not?
Yes. Lots.
So that is how
Another
we,
question.
uh, that's how we make progress spiritually, you know. And the Lord also guides us. You see here in this verse here, it says, the moment we are a little bit sincere and serious, then the Lord, you know, sitting in our heart, He also guides us like this. Sankarshan, please read.
Oh my Lord, transcendental poets and experts in spiritual science could not fully express their indebtedness to you, even if they were endowed with the prolonged lifetime of Brahma. For you appear in two features, externally as the Acharya and internally as a super soul, to deliver embodied living being by directing him how to come to you. Very nice.
Hmm? So two ways God is very kind to help, you know. Outside as the spiritual master, inside as super soul, giving you the intelligence. But of course, you must be sincere. That is the underlying factor. You cannot become, you know, what we say, arrogant and challenging and, you know, becoming very insincere. Then the Lord will not help. Of course, you also help. You get more and more into trouble, then you will surrender. That is also helping. See the point? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So better to wake up, We are now in the dream world, We are thinking everything is real. Just like it says here in this verse, we are in a dream stage actually. I hope it is this one.
Mhm.
So here it is explained, I think it is 30. We are actually dreaming. We are here. Here.
Narrow continued, O you who are free from all sinful activity, no one can counteract the effects of frugal activity simply by manufacturing a different activity devoid of Krishna consciousness. All such activity is due to our ignorance. When we have a troublesome dream, we cannot relieve it with troublesome hallucination. One can counteract a dream only by awaking. Similarly, our material existence is due to our ignorance and illusion. Unless we awaken to Krishna consciousness, we cannot be relieved of such dreams. For the ultimate solution to all problems, we must awaken to Krishna consciousness.
So this is the thing, when I'm sleeping and dreaming, I have to wake up. If I have a bad dream, then unless I wake up, then I feel relief. Yes.
Yes.
So similarly, now we are actually this whole material world, we are in the dream stage. Sometimes we go through bad experience and sometimes some experience. But unless I wake up, this spiritual awakening cannot be done by our effort. That's not possible. We're not talking about material awakening, that you wake up every day, but still you are in illusion. This suffering cannot be mitigated unless we awaken from our dream. Sometimes we suffer because we see a tiger in a dream or a snake in a vision, but actually there's neither tiger or snake. Thus we create some situation in subtle form and suffer the consequences. This suffering cannot be mitigated unless we awaken from our dream. Eh? And that awakening can only take place again by the mercy of. Can you read on?
The real interest of the living entity is to get out of the nescience that causes him to endure repeated birth and death. The only remedy is to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his representative. Unless one renders devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, one cannot possibly become completely detached from this material world, nor can he possibly manifest real knowledge.
So this is the condition. This awakening can only be done through the help of a spiritual master, representative of Krishna. There's no other way to this problem. Otherwise, we will continue to be sleeping, and in the process, we have to transmigrate from one body to another body because of unfulfilled desires.
What's the best thing I can do now? Let's wake up early and chant.
Yes, Firstly, you must follow the guidelines as given by the spiritual master. One of it is, yes, waking up in the morning, taking a shower, and chanting Hare Krishna. You know, if you don't wake up in the morning and chant, then it is going to be very troublesome, you know. You want to read this?
Yep. From this, we can understand how we have to be very cautious in executing our spiritual duties by observing the rules and regulations and regularly chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. If we neglect doing this, we will eventually fall down. We must rise early in the morning, bathe, attend Mangala Arati, worship the deities, chant the Hare Krishna Mantra, study the Vedic spirit literature, and follow all the rules prescribed by the acharyas and the spiritual master. If we deviate from this process, we may fall down, even though we may be very highly advanced. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita.
So you can say from here this point, yes?
Yes.
Mhm,
Hmm? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, Guru.
mhm.
And if we don't follow or we deviate, then we may not get the necessary strength and we will fall down. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, Guru.
So to control the mind, this process has to be strictly adhered, you know. So if you want to capture the Lord, then there is, you know, a way which we have to use to capture our mind. It says in this verse that we have to use the tongue for that purpose. Ataha Sri Krishna Nama Adi 3. Give me a minute, I take this out for you. So this is how we can capture the mind, you know. So you see in this verse, Ataha Sri Krishna Namadi Nabhavagriham Indrayi Sevamukho Hejik Vadao Swayame Vispratyadaha. You want to read this, please?
Therefore, material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and renders service by using his tongue to chant the Lord's holy name and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified and one gradually comes to understand who Krishna really is.
So this is the process, you know. If you want to capture your mind, then you must do two things. The only thing that we can use now is the tongue. One is to vibrate the holy name of the Lord. And the other is to use the tongue to taste Krishna Prasadam. Chanting is one thing, but you see the eating of the remnants of the food, you know, we call this prasadam, no?
Yes.
If we don't use our tongue to eat only Krishna Prasadam, then we cannot control the mind. It's not possible.
The verse in Bhakti, what was it? Nectar of instruction. The first verse in Nectar of instruction.
First verse.
Actually,
Actually, it's, see the thing here, better to go to the Gita first. Huh? See here in this Bhagavad Gita, you want to read?
devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin.
So if you light fire and try to pour water, then the fire will not grow. Common example. So we want to capture our mind, but we put dirty food inside, then our mind will not be able to conquer the mind. And mind is the only instrument that we can use to approach the Lord now. We cannot use the intelligence, we cannot use our false ego. The only element that we can somehow or other navigate, that independence is given to navigate, correct? Yes?
Yes.
So we can chant, and we have to keep the chanting going, we must put fuel, and that fuel is only Krishna Prasadam. Correct?
Yes,
I'm okay with that.
You're what? Okay with that?
Yeah, it tastes pretty good. These guys are good cooks.
Plenty of sweets.
Yeah, but when you're not with them, you must also learn how to eat, something that is offered to Krishna.
Yes.
See this word here? You want to read that from down below?
By performance of yoga, one's eatings become sanctified. And by eating sanctified foods, thus one's very existence becomes purified. By the purification of existence, finer tissues in the memory become sanctified. And when memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation. And all these combined together lead to Krishna consciousness, the great necessity of present-day society.
He explains all here, correct?
Yes.
Yes, Lord.
So if we don't come to the mode of goodness, ahara ahara means eating, suddha means sanctified food. Then you come to the mode of goodness, Only when you come to the mode of goodness, you can get good brains,
Yeah.
When you get good brains, then your intelligence also gets sharpened. Then you will be able to understand all these literatures and everything. And that will lead you to liberation. All
Lots of
about that.
ghee.
Yeah.
So the eating is so essential. You want to eat anything and everything, then untimely death is assured.
I have to let go of the last 10%. I have to let go of the last 10%. We offer our food already. This is the last 10% of eating out.
Yeah, so you should clean up that act and then you become 100%.
Yeah.
So we have to be fixed, We want to get something which is so dear, you have to work hard, is it not?
Yes.
It doesn't come that easy, So austerity has to be performed. Austerity of the tongue, that is to chant, and that is to eat Krishna Prasadam. And that way you'll be easily able to capture your mind.
God helps those that help themselves.
Yes. Because if you don't come to the mode of goodness, then you will not develop, all the saintly qualities. And then you cannot make any progress,
Yes, Lord.
Anyone?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the three modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, pertain to material intelligence and not to the spirit world. By development of material goodness, one can conquer the modes of passion and ignorance, and by cultivation of transcendental goodness, one may free oneself from material goodness.
So this is how it works. Yes, now we are all kind of engulfed in the mode of passion and ignorance, you know. And passion and ignorance are the greatest enemy for the conditioned soul, explained by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita. Kama esha, krodha esha, lust and anger, which comes from mode of passion and ignorance, are the greatest enemy. So we have to come to the mode of goodness. Coming to the goodness, then we can, you know, can you read on?
When the living, did I read that one? When the living entity becomes strongly situated in the mode of goodness, the religious principles characterized by devotional service to me become prominent. One can strengthen the mode of goodness by cultivation of those things that are already situated in goodness, and thus religious principles arise.
So yeah?
Should I read the purport?
No.
Okay.
So you can see how the moment you come to the mode of goodness, you strengthen it, then religious principle become manifest. Religious principle cannot be manifest in the mode of passion and ignorance. That's why you're advised to wake up in the morning before the sun comes up. You're advised to chant at that time. And to get that going, you need to eat sanctified food offered to Krishna. Just now you read, no? Waking up early, taking bath, doing the Mangalarti, chanting Hare Krishna. Yes?
Yes.
And if we don't do it, then our mind will become involved in the mode of passion and ignorance, and then irreligious principle will come. Then we will fall down. Eh?
Yes.
Explain here.
Religious principles strengthened by the mode of goodness destroy the influence of passion and ignorance. When passion and ignorance are overcome, the original cause, irreligion, is quickly vanquished.
So that. So if you want to come up of this mess that we are already in, then we must follow this program. It doesn't matter you are in Australia or you are in any part of the world. Mode of passion and ignorance are there in every body, not only in Indian body or in Chinese body or Australian, everybody. And everybody has a mind. Yes?
Yes.
Yep.
So in order to capture the mind, this is the program. Capture and clean up the mind. This is the program. When irreligion is vanquished, then you are actually happy. You know? Yes.
Yes.
According to the quality of religious
Okay.
scriptures.
Go to the
Oh.
next one.
What else?
Yeah, please.
Hang on. Until one revives one direct knowledge of the spirit soul and drives away the illusory identification with the material body and mind caused by the three modes of material nature, one must cultivate those things in the mode of goodness. By increasing the mode of goodness, one automatically can understand and practice religious principles, and by such practice, transcendental knowledge is awakened.
Yeah, sit down. The main thing is that by practicing these religious principles, then transcendental knowledge is awakened.
So nice, this 11 canto.
They say don't read it. Huh? Right?
No. Mhm.
You see,
Straight to the 11th.
this is how it works systematically. You want to get this knowledge, then you have to practice this process. Yes.
Yes.
Uh, if you don't, this is what it becomes. Uddhava said, my dear Krishna, generally human beings know that material life brings great future unhappiness, and still they try to enjoy material life. My dear Lord, how can one in knowledge act just like a dog, an ass, or a goat? In other words, if you don't get this transcendental knowledge, you will act like a dog, an ass, or a goat. No difference. And you think the dog and ass and goat is enjoying?
No, they're suffering.
Hmm?
They're suffering.
Yes. And it's explained here.
Especially the dogs in India.
Can you read on?
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dear Uddhava, a person bereft of intelligence first falsely identifies himself with a mature body and mind, and when such fake false knowledge arises with one's consciousness, material passion, the cause of great suffering, pervades the mind, which by nature is situated in goodness, when the mind contains material advancement. Thus, by constantly thinking of the modes of material nature, a foolish person is afflicted with unbearable material desires. Yeah.
So you can see.
Yeah.
Firstly, as we started the class, misidentify, think he is the body. Yes.
Yeah.
And when this false knowledge arises within one's consciousness, then material passion, the cause of great suffering, pervades the mind, which by nature is situated in goodness. And the mind, contaminated by passion, become absorbed in making and changing many plans for material advancement. Thus, by constantly thinking of the modes of material nature, a foolish person is afflicted with unbearable material desires.
Mm.
Very clear, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah. Super clear.
All starts with the tongue, that's all. Mm,
Yes.
yes.
Yep. Can you read Guru?
Please read.
One who does not control the material senses comes under the control of material desires, and is thus bewildered by the strong waves of the motor passion. Such a person executes material activities, although clearly seeing that the result will be future unhappiness.
Nobody can become happy by going in this direction. Nobody. It means nobody. Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Yes, Guru.
Can you read on?
Although the intelligence of a learned person may be bewildered by the modes of passion and ignorance, he should again carefully bring the mind under control. By clearly seeing the contamination of the modes of nature, he does not become attached.
So the solution is there. The solution is that he has to again bring the mind under control.
Mm.
And the only way to bring this is to chant Hare Krishna and take Krishna Prasadam. Wake up in the morning, do the Mangala Arati, take bath. If you don't want to do this, no problem. We have another body waiting. It could be a spider that just bit Chaitanya's face.
Cursed spider.
Or it could be an alligator. Or it could be a kangaroo. Think
Or a
again.
dolphin. Mm.
The choice is yours. But the result and action is given by God. So you have to decide what we want to do. You want to come out of this mess? Yes. We have to, by clearly, he should again carefully bring the mind under control. That is the only way. Yes,
Yes. Sounds too simple.
it's very simple. It's simple for the simple-hearted, and it's most complicated for those who are having some kind of a wild idea, you know. Yes,
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
and the mind is so strong. The mind is so strong that it is God. It is, you know, it is not easily said and done. You know, this mind is not a small thing. You want to read that?
My dear sons, the mind has a natural proclivity to enter into the material sense objects, and similarly, the sense objects enter into the mind. But both this material mind and the sense objects are merely designations that cover the spirit soul, who is part and parcel of me.
So Maya is very much attracted, you know, the mind of ours is very much attracted to Maya. And the biggest attraction is the opposite sex. This is how it works in the material world.
Mm.
In a closed room.
Huh? And it causes so much of misery. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
This is the highest form of attraction. For the man, the body of a woman, and for the women is the body of a man. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
And that way, the person gets completely hooked up.
Hmm.
I have a question, Prabhu.
Mm.
Why should we accept the authenticity of the Vedic literature?
I had the same question. Jeez.
Oh, twins. There you go.
why we should accept the authenticity of the Vedas. Huh?
Yes, true.
Now I'm explaining all these points. Where is it coming from?
Krishna.
Supreme.
Huh?
Krishna, of course.
Coming from the Vedas. Veda means
Mm.
knowledge. Knowledge means from God. Yes?
Yeah.
So
Yes,
why we should accept all these things? Is this not giving us insight to what's going on?
It does, yeah.
Can you find anywhere in any place knowledge like this?
No.
No.
So, yes, why I should accept this? If somewhere I get a solution, I shouldn't accept? Or you give me a solution, you think it is better, tell me.
Mm.
Huh? People who say something like this are foolish
Mm.
because they are under the control of the senses. Just now we read, a person who's under the control of the senses, he cannot think. Correct?
Correct.
So anything that is a hindrance to his sense gratification, he will reject.
Yeah.
Understand? Correct?
Yeah.
Hmm? Yes?
Everything is there in the Vedas.
Yes.
It's true.
The Vedas is the book to tell you how to come out of this mess. And you say, oh, why I should accept the Vedas? That means you don't want to come out, correct? You want to go on, as I say, there are so many kangaroos jumping around, whose soul is inside the kangaroos? There's obviously some soul is inside there, yes? Yes or not?
Yes, true.
It can be yours
Yep.
also next. Would you want to take the gamble?
No, thank you.
That's intelligence. You love Australia so much, end up as a kangaroo.
Oh, koala. Koala would be
Yeah,
what?
If there's
yes.
any left.
Or what is that bird called? Cockatoo? What is that?
Emu.
Huh?
The emu.
Think, you think. So this is the solution. Doesn't mean because you say a fire, if I put my hand, it will not burn me. Does it mean the fire will not burn you if you don't put the hand? Huh? That's foolishness. Correct?
Mm.
Fire will act nevertheless. You understand? That's why this
Yeah.
Vedic knowledge is given by God, to explain very clearly this entanglement and the solution also. If I'm going in the gross enjoyment, then this solution will become obscured. You cannot understand this thing. You won't be able to understand.
Mm.
He will be so, what do we say, entangled. He cannot see nothing. Because why is his propensity to enjoy the senses? Huh?
He is forced to act.
Hmm? Read on.
When the soul exists for sense gratification, he creates different desires, and for the reason he becomes subjected to designations. But when one is in a transcendental position, he is no longer interested in anything except fulfilling the desires of the Lord.
Read this.
Yep. It's just on slow on my screen. There we go. When one's mind and senses are attracted to sense objects for enjoyment, the mind becomes agitated. As a result of continually thinking of sense objects, one's real consciousness almost becomes lost, like the water in the lake that is gradually sucked up by the big grass straws on its bank.
Say one's real consciousness almost become lost.
422.
Read on.
When one deviates from his original consciousness, he loses the capacity to remember his previous position or recognize his present one. When remembrance is lost, all knowledge acquired is based on a false foundation. When this occurs, learned scholars consider that the soul is lost.
This is exactly what will happen.
Yeah.
Lost, you don't know, you cannot figure out. You want to be in this position?
No. Not at all. I will never go back.
Therefore, you need knowledge, no?
There's no stronger obstruction to one's self-interest than thinking other subject matters to be more pleasing than one's self-realization.
Mm.
A human society constantly thinking of how to earn money and applying it for sense gratification brings about the destruction of everyone's interests. When one becomes devoid of knowledge and devotional service, he enters into species of like those of trees and stones.
What do you think?
It's true.
Eucalyptus tree, I think, is very common in Australia.
This is not at all advertising.
So you think, if you don't want to become Krishna conscious, it's going to be bad news. What do you say?
Wake up and chant.
Bathe and then chant.
I think it's a serious affair because
Chief Jago.
death is it's an inevitable fact, and time and tide waits for no man. That's why anybody got this human body, he should quickly take advantage of it and take to the process. You should not delay. Yes, this was. It says in this verse, here,
Daniel, I think you're typing Morse code.
Oh dear. Sorry.
can you read this?
Yes, right. Even for a moment, remembrance of Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is missed. That is the greatest loss. That is the greatest illusion, and that is the greatest anomaly. The Lord can be worshipped in
Oh,
all
it's
stages
okay.
of life. I'll just step in.
It's okay. If even for a moment of remembrance of Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of God, it is missed, that is the greatest loss. That's the greatest illusion, and that is the greatest anomaly. So we should try to mold our life in such a way that we do not, even for a moment, lose the sight of the Lord. That's why we are taught to chant. Yes? Correct?
Yes.
And by chanting, I'm sure you're feeling very happy.
Yes.
Otherwise, why you want to do that? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, bro.
When you're a fool, you will want to suffer, When you're a fool, will think that his material world is all nice,
Was it the only people that enjoy in this material world is the madman and the devotee?
Yeah. Only people who have
I'm sorted then.
Anyone want to read?
Lord Vishnu, Krishna is the origin of Vishnu, should always be remembered and never forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastras should be the servants of these two principles.
So we have given this thing mercy by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who came 500 years ago. God himself teaching us a very simple thing to do, to constantly chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Anybody can do that. Just like you are doing, you can see how much you are progressing. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And you also have devotee association. You cannot do this without the help of a devotee. That's not possible.
Very blessed.
Very grateful.
Hmm?
Unless one is favored by a pure devotee, one cannot attain a platform of devotional service. To say nothing of Krishna Bhakti, one cannot even be relieved from the bondage of material existence.
That's why it says always keep association of devotees. Hmm? If you don't keep association of devotees,
Good point, not to go straight to Krishna.
then it is going to be very difficult,
I was just going to ask, you know how there's a word for non-devotees? I can't remember what the word is, but I looked it up yesterday. And then, does that mean you dissociate from non-devotees?
Non-devotee means you don't become very, what we say, close with them,
So it's more like, so we say association with devotees, but you know how you say an associate, so someone that you've met.
An acquaintance.
So
someone you met and you are talking about Krishna, that's fine, you know. If someone you
oh no, I don't mean that. I mean friends that are friends, like friends from before that are not devotees. Do we disconnect from them?
yeah, because
Or is it
you
okay
know,
to
you
kind
can
of be
you can call them to come and have prasadam with you, then no problem.
okay?
But you
Yeah.
can't go there to their place and eat, you know, all kind of nonsense. Then it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot be very frivolous with them. Dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
You keep them happy and keep them at arm's length.
Because all this
On the other end of
materialist,
my phone.
all these materialistic people, they are very contaminated, you know.
Mm.
So if you are not strong, if you associate with them, then you will also go back to your old ways. Because we read this now, the mind is very much attracted to the material activities. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we want to purify our mind. By purifying our mind, then we will be safe.
Mm.
Yeah? Correct, you see here in this verse. You want to read?
Nevertheless, until by firmly practicing devotional service to me, one has completely eliminated from his mind all contamination of material passion. One must very carefully avoid associating with the material modes which are produced by my illusory energy. Just as improperly treated disease reoccurs and gives repeated distress to the patient, the mind that is not completely purified of its perverted tendencies will remain attached to material things and repeatedly torment the imperfect yogi.
Is it clear?
Yes.
So we should be very careful dealing with the mind, you know.
I think in one way I find it easy to think just to associate with devotees, but because I've still got friends who are not devotees, then I'm just trying to work out how, like, do I detach from them?
Well, the moment you start preaching to them, they will go away.
No, I don't preach to them.
Yeah, you must preach. If you don't preach, then how you help them? You
Mm.
want
Well,
you want to
I'm
send them to
careful. I'm not. I sort of gently introduce them to things.
yes, that should be your motive. As long as you are interested in bringing them to Krishna, then association is all right. But if you're going there, you can read this verse.
My dear king, or Srila Shukdeva Goswami replied, my dear king, you have spoken correctly. However, after capturing animals, a cunning hunter does not put faith in them, for they might run away. Similarly, those who are advanced in spiritual life do not put faith in the mind. Indeed, they always remain vigilant and watch the mind's action.
Mm.
So you should be careful. Playing with fire is dangerous, you know, you may get burned.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you know,
All
can
the
you
learned scholars, sorry,
read on?
all the learned scholars have given their opinion. The mind is by nature very restless, and one should not make friends with it. If we place full confidence in the mind, it may cheat us at any moment. Even Lord Shiva became agitated upon seeing them, the Mohini form of Lord Krishna, and Subhari Muni also fell down from the mature stage of yogic perfection.
See how big personalities like Lord Shiva, Saubhari Muni, who are we, you know, some tiny little spark. Correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
If big personalities can be bewildered, who are we, you know? So how much more we must be careful?
Very careful.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes or no? That's why
Yes,
we
sir.
should take association, you know. We should always,
An unchaste woman is very easily carried away by paramours, and it sometimes happens that her husband is violently killed by her paramours. If the yogi gives his mind a chance and does not restrain it, his mind will give facility to enemies like lust, anger, and greed, and they will doubtlessly kill the yogi.
very clear.
Yes,
So do we want to get killed again?
No.
Hmm?
no, Prabhu.
Nobody wants to. Yes?
No.
The mind is the root cause of lust, anger, pride, greed, lamentation, illusion, and fear. Combined, these constitute bondage to food activity. What learned man would put faith in the mind?
That's why in our spiritual circle, the mind is never consulted. There's only one thing to do with the mind is to purify it, not to take it in confidence. But right now we are constantly with our mind, talking to the mind. The mind is giving all kind of crazy ideas. Yes?
Yes.
Our best friend is our mind now, actually. And that mind, when it's not controlled, it's going to give us or lead us astray. So therefore, we are trained to learn from the scriptures, Shastra, from the sadhu devotees, and from the spiritual master guru. This is should be the base. Like now you're hearing, correct? How much
Yes.
knowledge is coming from the scriptures? Yes?
A lot.
So we now know where our trouble is.
Yes.
So we should start very seriously taking up the process. What do you think?
There's
Yes.
no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way.
Maybe there's an Australian way.
The laid back version.
Whatever way, whatever way, whatever way.
Huh? You don't have to think, you only live once. Is that fact?
Yeah,
Maybe
YOLO.
you will live once as a human being and the rest of the time you live like an animal. You won't
Well,
see
it's
the
only once, Prabhu. We don't live after that.
you won't see the human birth anymore. You will live, yeah, not as a human, only once as a human. After that, you will live like a kangaroo or a koala or whatever, you know.
Become an enlightened koala.
Oh my goodness. You can have, you know, very nice eclipse tree leaves to eat in its sleep, you know. Tell me. Hmm?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
What is the easiest way to preach to someone that the Vedas are the original text and are the word of Krishna or the Supreme in the most simplest way?
The best way is to give him the Vedic books to read and then let him see. Just like if I'm selling honey, the best way is to open the bottle and let the person taste it. Is it not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then you know the quality of the honey. So unless the person reads, how to explain?
Yes. So it'd just be a waste of time to keep engaging in that conversation.
Yeah, unless you are a very powerful preacher, but generally it's easier to convince someone with a book, no?
Yes.
Didn't Prabhupada say that they won't remember our 10 minutes of preaching, but if you give them a book, they'll remember?
Yes, because by reading, then their concentration is there, no? And especially if they hear from the lips of a pure devotee like Prabhupada, then it makes an effect, you know, of cutting this false ego. So yes, you can try to talk, but normally you say something and he says something and he says something like that, you know, it goes on, you know.
Yeah.
They won't take it seriously, you know, because they usually talk with some beer in their hand, you know.
Yeah. I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem. I have this neighbor and he was like, yeah, he's like
How
read
you
the
can,
Bible or whatever.
yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, here's the real literature. And I don't know if he just read like the free chapter on the ebook or something of the Bhagavad Gita. And then I just don't think he's ready to give up his beer.
So we have
Everyone comes.
to, best is to give a book, you know, let him read when he's sobered up, you know.
Yeah.
And they always like to be showing that they know something, you know. They don't want to lose out, you know.
Yeah.
So if you say something and he doesn't know, it's the best thing to say, then I don't believe, you know.
Yeah.
If, you know, that's how it is. So of course you give him prasadam, let him eat prasadam, and the same time, you know, start giving a book. And if he's fortunate, then yes.
Yes.
Otherwise, how to do? Just now we read a person is overly attracted to the sense gratification, then the resolute determination and devotional service is difficult to take place, no?
He likes food, so I'll keep delivering him food.
The best way to get an animal around is to give food, you know.
Yeah.
And all
Chaitanya showed me that
all these
with his
guys,
cows.
animals, you know, practically living like animals. So that's why your cafe and your food stall and all are more of a, you know, it's more is accepted, you know. But if you call them and say, I want to give a Bhagavad Gita class, nobody will come. But you say come for lunch or dinner, oh yes, I am ready to come.
Stomach first.
Yes. So we have to give them some love feast, something they like to eat. Krishna Prasadam. That will be the
I,
best. Make some, sweet balls or something, And when they take that, then their mind, will go into the heart. The best way into the man's heart is through the stomach, Yeah, food plays a very important role. That's why Srila Prabhupada captured all of us, by calling us for his Sunday love feast.
Vachu Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam. Tongue, stomach, genitals, and the mind is satisfied.
So, anything else?
no. I'm out of questions.
Yes.
I've got some stuff to work with.
Well, you got to wake up at least, chant your rounds. And keep away from anything which is not prasadam. These are two important things to start with,
Yeah. Start now.
Yeah, start. What is the time now? You got to go to bed and wake up early.
Yeah.
What time is your sunrise there?
6:50.
6:50, yeah? 7 o'clock almost.
Yeah.
Brahman Much is at 5:30 or 5 o'clock.
Yeah, your mind, you should be up by then, and chanting. So in that way, if you have a picture of Krishna or something, it'd be nice.
I've got a few books.
And if you have a tulsi plant, that's much better, Because if you chant in front of tulsi, very quickly you get the strength,
Okay.
I have one of you.
Are they big enough, Chaitanya, at the moment, or not yet?
Yeah, they could be taken. Yeah.
Can I get one later in the week, or come and get one or something, please, for my little altar?
Yeah, I got 3 here at the moment, so I can give 2 away. I need to keep one.
Yeah.
I think they're quite easy to grow there in Australia, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The coldness, they don't like the coldness here, but if you keep them inside by the windowsill, they survive easily.
So take good care of them, because if they die, then your devotion will be hampered,
You get a grow light.
Yes.
Okay.
Take care.
There's a Tulsi handbook if you wish to use one as well.
Yeah.
Tulsi is very dear to Krishna,
Is it like the Tulsi Arati or something, or is it just everything to do with Tulsi?
Well, Tulsi has got a whole kind of a...
No, I mean the book.
Oh, the book. Yeah, it's got a whole...
From the mantras to the taking care of and watering, etc. Diseases. Devotion.
Yeah.
You water her, every morning and evening. And you circumambulate her 3 times, And when you pick the leaf, you have to say some mantras. Krishna will not eat unless the tulsi leaf is there,
When she's a bit older, you can take place.
You can go over there, Shankarshan or Chaitanya, you can teach him how to, or teach them how to do it.
Yes.
Yes, these are the secrets of the Vedic literatures. Our problem is our mind. If we can get over our mind, then the solution is over. Mind can be your best of friend or your worst of enemy. Bhagavad Gita. You want to read that?
One must
must
deliver
go.
himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well.
So this is the position.
For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
So you have the mind living with you inside. Not that the enemy is outside, the enemy is inside.
Beating me up.
But you got a solution now how to tame the mind. Yes?
Yes.
So please try to do this very carefully.
Yes.
And definitely Krishna will take you back to the spiritual world. That is if you want to go back, If you don't want to, no problem.
This world's miserable. Even with all the luxuries.
This material world is danger at every step, You understand? Especially Australia, so many bugs and snakes and spiders and all.
My wife's from New Zealand and she says the same thing because apparently there's nothing there like we have here.
Except the Maoris.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks for Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for your
Thank
kind
you very much, Gopal.
association.